an Indian perspective on All India Radio. This is Pallavi Manchanda and with me is R.S. Raghu, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. First, the headlines. India objects to transit conditions imposed by Pakistan on Indian aid to Afghanistan. India's Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia asserts precautionary measures are in place to tackle coronavirus variant Omicron. Third, India-Korea Strategic Dialogue held in New Delhi. Angela Merkel receives farewell military as she steps down as Chancellor of Germany. Maitri Divas or Friendship Day to be celebrated in 18 countries across the world. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says digital public infrastructure solutions can improve the lives of citizens around the world at the Infinity Forum. Deep depression over West Central Bay of Bengal intensifies into cyclonic storm Javad. Germany beats India 4-2 to storm into the finals of the Junior International Hockey World Cup. And in cricket, India scores 221 for 4 in first innings against New Zealand at stumps on day 1 of Mumbai Test. As India marches towards administering 150 crore vaccine doses against COVID-19, news about fresh corona variants is causing concern. In this situation, we appeal to our listeners to get fully vaccinated at the earliest and also help others get vaccinated. Please follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact the national helpline numbers 011 2397 8046 and 1075. And now the news in detail. Talks are underway to arrive at a consensus over the issue of transit conditions imposed by Pakistan over humanitarian aid from India to Afghanistan. New Delhi has said that India is discussing the modalities of supply for getting humanitarian aid into Pakistan through the land route. A report.
India has offered to provide 50,000 metric tons of wheat as humanitarian aid for the people of Afghanistan last month. Pakistan has imposed transit conditions on Indian aid to Afghanistan. In its first condition, Pakistan has insisted that supplies to Afghanistan can only be transported by Pakistani trucks. India has opposed it, saying if not Indian trucks, at least Afghani trucks should be allowed to transport the supplies to their country. The second condition relates to levying charges on the humanitarian aid shipment. India has consistently maintained that no charges should be levied on humanitarian aid to the war-torn nation. Speaking at the press briefing on Thursday, spokesperson of India's External Affairs Ministry said that humanitarian assistance for Afghan people should not be subject to conditionalities.
We had received a response from Pakistan. I think it was November 24th that we received a response. We had given our proposal, I think early October 7th, for humanitarian assistance access into Afghanistan. We had been looking to supply 50,000 metric tons of wheat and life-saving drugs to Afghanistan, Afghan people. Since then, we have had discussions with Pakistan on the modalities of this supply. These discussions are ongoing. Let me reiterate our belief that humanitarian assistance should not be subject to conditionalities.
Meanwhile, the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs on Tuesday said that temperatures have already dipped below zero in Afghanistan and people are in need of winter clothing, emergency shelter, heating and fuel as well as rental support. Niharika Bhuvani of World News, All India Radio.
Meanwhile, EU's Special Envoy Thomas Nicholson on Friday said that India and the European Union jointly need to keep a close eye on Afghanistan and ensure that its soil is not used for terrorism. According to reports, Nicholson met Foreign Secretary Harsh Singh Shringla on Wednesday and exchanged views on the current situation in Afghanistan and agreed to continue the ongoing coordination between India and EU on Afghanistan.
India's Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia has said that several precautionary measures have been taken to tackle the challenge of the new coronavirus variant Omicron. In his 90 minutes reply in the lower house, Lok Sabha to the marathon discussion on the COVID pandemic, he said 2 cases of infections due to the Omicron strain have been detected in Bengaluru, including 1 traveller from South Africa and another from the city. He said contact tracing has been done in both the cases and the COVID status of all the contacts has been ascertained. He said the genome sequencing of the viral samples drawn from those who tested positive among them is underway. He said the new strain has been detected in 25 different countries as of 25th of November. On the question of administering booster doses against COVID, the minister said the scientific opinion of the experts group on it will be taken into account while deciding about it. Meanwhile, the Union government has asked the states and union territories to be extra vigilant in enforcing public health measures to contain the spread of the Omicron variant of COVID-19. Union Health Secretary Rajesh Bhushan has written to the additional chief secretaries and principal secretaries of all states and UTs in this regard. He said international passengers are arriving from both at-risk and other countries to different states and union territories. The Health Secretary said constant vigilance regarding transmission of any variant is essential. He said evidence indicates that fully vaccinated individuals are protected from severity of the disease. COVID-appropriate behavior must be emphasized and enforced, especially in view of the higher transmissibility of Omicron. All efforts should be made to regulate crowds, enforce masking and social distancing at all times.
Building up to the Russian President's visit to India and the summit with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, All India Radio brings you a special series India-Russia Connect, highlighting the salient aspects of India-Russia relations. Today we will discuss the Indo-Soviet Treaty of Peace, Friendship and Cooperation.
India and Russia celebrated the 50th anniversary of the signing of the Indo-Soviet Treaty of Peace, Friendship and Cooperation on the 9th of August this year. External Affairs Minister of India, Dr. S. Jaishankar, on his visit to Russia in July had said that the time-tested and trust-based India-Russia relationship remains very strong and continues to grow. Signed on the 9th of August 1971, the Treaty of Peace, Friendship and cooperation between India and erstwhile Soviet Union has been one of the most enduring of friendships between any two nations. The agreement was signed at a crucial juncture in the lead-up to Bangladesh's War of Liberation. It was signed between Sardar Swaran Singh, representing India, and A.A. Gromyko, representing the Soviet Union. The relationship between the two nations evolved into a special and privileged strategic partnership during the visit of the Russian President to India in December 2010. The multifaceted relations span areas including defense, trade, space, nuclear energy, amongst others, undergirded by a strong cultural connect. Niharika Bhuvania for World News, All India Radio.
At the invitation of Deputy National Security Advisor Pankaj Saran, the second Deputy Director of National Security of Republic of Korea, Kim Yong-jin, visited New Delhi. On Friday, he participated in the Third India-Republic of Korea Strategic Dialogue between the National Security Council Secretariats of both countries. Within the framework of the close and strategic partnership between India and Republic of Korea, the two sides held in-depth discussions to further enhance the special strategic partnership. Both sides agreed to further strengthen and deepen mutually beneficial strategic cooperation in areas of bilateral, regional and global interest. Germany's Federal Armed Forces, the Bundeswehr, bade farewell to Chancellor Angela Merkel on Friday. In what is the highest military ceremony for a civilian, Germany's Federal Armed Forces said goodbye to Chancellor Angela Merkel. Ms. Merkel will make way to Olaf Scholz, who will be sworn in as the new Chancellor after 16 years at the helm. The Indo-German relation was taken to new heights under Ms. Merkel's leadership. A report.
German Chancellor Angela Merkel has visited India 4 times during her tenure. Prime Minister Modi and Chancellor Merkel have reiterated on several occasions that the Indo-German strategic partnership is based on the common values and principles of democracy, free and fair trade, and rules-based international order, as well as on mutual trust and respect. Describing Chancellor Merkel as a counterpart and a friend and a long-serving global leader, Mr. Modi has said that the agreements signed are a testament to the friendship and close ties that India and Germany share. Under Chancellor Merkel's leadership, India and Germany have taken big strides towards climate action. Germany's signing of the International Solar Alliance Framework Agreement in August 2021 was the latest instance of this cooperation. The year 2021 marks the 70th anniversary of the diplomatic relations between India and Germany. The relations between the two nations, underpinned by shared values, Close people-to-people exchanges and cultural affinities is expected to continue under Ms. Merkel's successor. Niharika Bhuvania for World News, All India Radio.
The deep depression over West Central Bay of Bengal has intensified into cyclonic storm Javad. It lay centered over West Central of Bengal, about 420 kilometers south-southeast of Visakhapatnam in the southern Indian state of Andhra Pradesh, 530 kilometers south-southeast of Gopalpur, Odisha, and 650 kilometers south-southwest of Paradeep, Odisha. It is likely to move north-westwards and reach West Central Bay of Bengal off North Andhra Pradesh, South Odisha coasts by Saturday morning. Odisha and Andhra Pradesh governments are fully geared up to tackle the impact of the cyclonic storm. This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter @AIR News Alerts.
The Maitri Divas of Friendship Day, marking the day India recognized Bangladesh 10 days before its liberation on 16th of December 1971, will be celebrated in 18 countries across the world. The Ministry of External Affairs (MEA) said in a press release that the day will be commemorated in Belgium, Canada, Egypt, Indonesia, Russia, Qatar, Singapore, UK, Australia, France, Japan, Malaysia, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, Switzerland, Thailand, UAE and USA. India was one of the first countries to establish bilateral diplomatic relations with the newly independent Bangladesh in the year 1971. During the visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Bangladesh in March this year to attend the National Day of Bangladesh, it was decided to commemorate December 6th as the Maitri Divas or Friendship Day. The Maitri Divas is a reflection of the deep and abiding friendship between the people of India and Bangladesh that has been forged in blood and shared sacrifices, said the MEA in its statement. The 3rd of December marks the day when India entered Bangladesh's liberation war after an attack on the Indian Air Force by Pakistan. In today's Hotspot section, we bring you a special program on 50 years of the liberation of Bangladesh.
A war which unveiled the real face of Pakistan saw atrocities being inflicted on its own people in the erstwhile East Pakistan. As per an estimate of the Bangladesh government, nearly 3 million people were killed in the liberation struggle, which lasted for nearly 9 months in Bangladesh. The 1971 war was a fallout of the oppressive political and economic policies of West Pakistan towards East Pakistan, which caused unimaginable human sufferings, leading to the exodus of more than 10 million refugees into India. The military option was exercised by India only when all political and diplomatic efforts to resolve the issue failed.
The series of events leading up to an all-out war triggered by unprovoked airstrikes by Pakistan on Indian air bases on 3rd December 1971 began with the decision of the Pakistan Army to conduct elections in the country in the December of 1970. In 1970, the Pakistan Army decided to step down from power and announce elections. The Awami League under its leader Sheikh Mujibur Rahman swept the polls in East Pakistan, but the military junta was unwilling to transfer power to him. In a historic address at the Raman Racecourse in Dhaka in early 1971, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman promised them a new country, a sovereign state, a place where there could be no differential treatment meted out to the Bangla populace.
পঁচিশ তারিখে অ্যাসেম্বলি কল করেছে, রক্তের দাগ শুধায় নাই। আমি 10 তারিখে বলে দিয়েছি যে ওই শহীদের রক্তের মধ্যে পাড়া দিয়ে আজ কৃষিতে মুজিবুর রহমান যোগদান করতে পারে না। জয় বাংলা।
Mukti Bahini, or the Mukti Fauj, with an aim to realize the dream of a sovereign Bangla nation, was formed to follow up the dream of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. The uprising in East Pakistan sent panic waves to the West Pakistan, which appointed Lieutenant General Tikka Khan as the administrator for the East Pakistan. Lieutenant General Tikka Khan organized a brutal crackdown in East Pakistan and is considered to be the chief architect of the Operation Searchlight. Operation Searchlight was a planned military operation carried out by the Pakistan Army to curb the Bengali nationalist movement in the erstwhile East Pakistan in March 1971. The long and torturous history left no scope of return, and the Bangla freedom struggle united everyone. Mukti Bahini, along with the support of common populace, controlled large areas of the country in the waterlogged countryside after Bangabandhu's call. The military reorganized itself after the monsoon and by September 1971 had reclaimed all the territory. The freedom fighters took refuge in India. They crossed the border and took shelter in India. Nearly 10 million people from East Pakistan took refuge in India in camps along the border. There were ordeals of massacres and rapes, while it was clear that the cost of looking out to the refugees was going out of the pocket of the Indian government. It was during this time that skirmishes between the Border Security Force and the Pakistan Army began. Steadily, both countries began inching towards a war. Lieutenant General Jagjit Singh Arora, who was to be later in charge of operations in East Pakistan in 1971, recalls,
"The planning was done in good time because we had the time. And the second thing is that we realized that unless we achieve success in the shortest possible time, the United Nations and the other major nations would like to try us from carrying on fighting as a ceasefire rather than giving us time to have proper victory. We didn't want anything less than victory. I evolved that we should be able to surprise and we should also be able to have mobility. Now the communications were very sparse.
Indian Army registered victory at the Battle of Boira even before the war had officially begun. On 21st of November, fierce brigade battles were fought at Boira in the western sector, Hilli in the northwestern sector, Akhora in the eastern sector, and Silhet in the northeastern sector. At Boira, American-built 3 Pakistani Sabre fighters were destroyed by Indian Nats in the skies. The war officially began on the 3rd of December when Pakistan attacked forward Indian bases. The attempt went in vain. The then Prime Minister of India, Indira Gandhi, addressed the nation at midnight. The Indian Air Force retaliated and attacked Tezgaon and Kurmitola air bases the same night, causing heavy damage. Air Marshal H.C. Diwan, who was among those who planned India's retaliatory Air Force response, says,
"The Air Force bombed each and every airfield, whether in use or out of use, in Pakistan, East Pakistan. And every airfield was immobilized. Once it was immobilized, they were just not able to take off. We dared them, more or less, to really fly over some of their military airfield, which was primarily in Dhaka, Tezgaon, but they did not come up because they realized that the Air Force was quite superior to them."
The most crucial planning was involved in blockading East Pakistan from both sea and air, as the same ensured cutting off additional supplies to the Pakistani forces. India utilized its marine stealth, and INS Vikrant stood firmly in the Bay of Bengal. The 1971 war demonstrated the unified power and synergy of all the wings of the Indian Armed Forces. Vice Admiral Mihir Kumar Roy, who played a leading role in the war, said,
"In 71, we had the blockade. We prevented any of the ships and prisoners moving out by the khals, etc., because we had aircraft that operated at night. And when I spoke to Admiral Sharif when he was a prisoner in Fort William, and he said, I was deaf, I was blind, because day and night the Navy hammered us in all the inside khals, etc., leading to the seas."
The 1971 war is also remembered as one of the shortest duration wars which changed the geopolitics of South Asia. Within 3 days of the declaration of the war, Indian forces were able to completely ground the Pakistani Air Force. Many important cities, including Jessore, had fallen too. The time had come to recognize the long-awaited dream of millions of Bangla people who were subjected to pain and agony. And the recognition came in the Indian Parliament by the then Prime Minister, Indira Gandhi.
"The people of Bangladesh battling for their very existence and the people of India fighting to defeat aggression now find themselves partisans in the same cause. The government of India have, after the most careful consideration, decided to grant recognition to..."
The Eastern Command, which was planning and executing the operation on the ground, ensured that the war must not go for long. any attempt by the Pakistani forces to retreat was thwarted. Displaying their indomitable spirit, the 41 Mountain Brigade took the control of Janida, another important town in the southwestern part of the erstwhile East Pakistan. Displaying great military prowess, Lieutenant General Sagat Singh of the 4th Corps bypassed 45 towns of Komila and marched for Chandpur and Daukhandi. Then Chief of Eastern Command Lieutenant General J.F.R. Jacob.
We planned the campaign in such a manner so that we'd be more fast and we suffered minimum casualties. To do this, we at Eastern Command selected our main objective to be Dhaka, and we then selected subsidiary objectives to assist in this. They were not towns, but communication centers and command and control centers. For example, in the western sector, we selected Magura and Faridpur. In the eastern sector, we selected Chandpur and Daukhandi.
10 days into the war, and on 12th of December, Pakistani troops started to surrender in various sectors. By then, Dhaka was full of Indian troops who moved from Tangail and Narsingdi.
The number of paratrooping forces swelled as the time passed. Soldiers from the 95 Mountain Brigade reached Joydepur, a suburb of Dhaka. Helping no point of return, Pakistani President Yahya Khan authorized East Pakistan governor to take all steps to end the fighting. The governor resigned after a crucial meeting. The instrument of surrender was signed at the Dhaka race course at 4:31 in the evening on the 16th of December. General Jacob arranged the surrender formalities. General Jagjit Singh Arora, who took the surrender talks about the memorable event.
I decided that we take the surrender in public view. So that's why the surrender was taken on the race course. And the public has gathered there in absolutely large numbers. It has had a tremendous effect on the public.
70,000 defense and 2,000 paramilitary personnel had surrendered. On the 12th of January 1972, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was sworn in as the Prime Minister of Bangladesh. Indian forces in their fight for humanity fulfilled the dreams of millions of Bangla people.
The year 2021 was a watershed moment in the history of India-Bangladesh relations. The year also marks the golden jubilee of the establishment of formal diplomatic relations between both the countries.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi told that Bangabandhu was a champion of human rights and freedom and is a hero to Indians as well. The legacy and inspiration of Bangabandhu has made the heritage of both the countries more comprehensive and deep-rooted, and the path shown by Bangabandhu has laid a strong foundation for the partnership, progress and prosperity of both countries over the last decade. Long live India-Bangladesh friendship.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that India's digital public infrastructure solutions can improve the lives of citizens around the world. Inaugurating the Infinity Forum through video conferencing on Friday, he underscored India's leadership role in the innovation and technology adoption.
India has proved to the world that it is second to none when it comes to adopting technology or innovating around it. Transformational initiatives under Digital India have opened doors for fintech innovations to be applied in governance. Technology has also catalyzed financial inclusion. From less than 50% Indians having bank accounts in 2014, we have almost universalized with 430 million Jan Dhan accounts in the last 7 years.
The 3rd of December is observed as the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. In a video message on the occasion, WHO Director General said, the International Day of Persons with Disabilities is an important opportunity to remember that disability is part of being human.
Today, we call for a world in which everyone, including those with disabilities, have access to the health services they need. It's especially important that policymakers engage with the disability community during health emergencies like the COVID-19 pandemic. In times of crisis, people with disabilities may experience increased barriers accessing health services and in observing public health measures. They may also face increased risks due to underlying health conditions, losing access to social and assistive services, and the impacts of isolation.
On the occasion, Prime Minister Narendra Modi appreciated the stellar achievements and contributions of persons with disabilities to India's progress.
Moving on to sports, in the second and final cricket test match between India and New Zealand in Mumbai, the hosts were 221 for the loss of 4 wickets at the stumps on the opening day, as the top scorer Mayank Agarwal with 120 runs on board was on the crease with Riddhiman Saha at 25. Opting to bat first after the delayed start due to wet patches on the outfield and the pitch, the Indian openers added 80 runs for the first wicket before Ajaz Patel took 3 wickets in consecutive overs to bring New Zealand back in the game. Virat Kohli, Cheteshwar Pujara and Shubman Gill, who added 44 runs, were Ajaz's 3 dismissals. Kohli and Pujara failed to impress yet again as they both were dismissed on ducks. Both the star batsmen haven't registered a century since 2019. Shreyas Iyer also lost his wicket succumbing to Ajaz Patel delivery. In the FIH Odisha Hockey Men's Junior World Cup, India lost to Germany in the semi-final match by 2-4. Now Germany will face Argentina in Sunday's final, while India will take on France for the bronze medal. Argentina defeated France in another semi-final match by 1-3 in shootout after both the teams could not score a goal in stipulated time. Elsewhere, on the International Day of Persons with Disability, India's Ananya Bansal won the country's first silver medal in shot put in the F20 category at the Asia Youth Paralympic Games in Manama, Bahrain. And now a report from the business world.
BSE Sensex plunged 765 points and 1.31% to trade at 57,696. NSE Nifty also declined by 205 points and 1.18% to trade at 17,197. Amongst global stock markets, Asian stocks gained following overnight gains in the US equity markets. Japan's Nikkei 225 jumped 1%, China Shanghai Composite Index climbed 0.9% and South Korea's Kospi surged 0.8%. Singapore Straits Times Index was trading 0.4% up, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng declined marginally by 0.1%.
Now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. TASS reports that Indian Ambassador to Russia Bala Venkatesh Verma says the upcoming summit between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Putin is expected to yield a number of agreements, including in the area of defense. Washington Post says Senate passes bill to fund the government averting shutdown. The Globe and Mail reports France signs €16 billion weapons mega contract with UAE as Macron tours Gulf. The Guardian writes Twitter closes thousands of China state-linked accounts spreading propaganda. The Sydney Morning Herald reports hail batters Sydney's south-northwest before thunderstorms ease.
A quick look at the headlines once again. India objects to transit conditions imposed by Pakistan on Indian aid to Afghanistan. India's Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia asserts precautionary measures are in place to tackle coronavirus variant Omicron. Third India-Korea strategic dialogue held in New Delhi. Angela Merkel receives military farewell as she steps down as Chancellor of Germany. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says digital public infrastructure solutions can improve the lives of citizens around the world at the Infinity Forum. Deep depression over West Central Bay of Bengal intensifies into cyclonic storm Javad. Germany beats India 4-2 to storm into the finals of the Junior International Hockey World Cup. And in cricket, India scores 221 for 4 in first innings against New Zealand at stumps on day 1 of Mumbai Test. India is celebrating the 152nd birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Before we end, let us listen to his favorite bhajan Vaishnav Jan by artists from Thailand on their National Day. And with that, we end this bulletin. We will be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.